Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're unlocking something we're calling the confidence relationship code. We're really digging into one of the most, profound truths in human connection, how your relationship with yourself directly impacts, pretty much every single other relationship in your life. We often look outwards for answers to relationship struggles at other people. But what if the person you're maybe struggling to understand, whether it's in romance, friendships, family, even at work, what if that person is actually yourself? What if the common thread in all those repeating patterns isn't them, it's you, specifically your level of self confidence? Now, hang on. Before you think this is about blame, let me be really clear. This isn't about fault, this is about empowerment, truly. When you understand how confidence shapes your relationships, you get the power back. You can transform not just how you feel about you, but how you connect with everyone.
Exactly. It's about understanding those invisible ways confidence shows up. Why low self-worth creates these predictable, often unhelpful loops. And most importantly, we'll get into practical strategies, how to build genuine self-worth that can honestly revolutionize your connections.
So, whether you're single and maybe hoping to attract healthier relationships, or perhaps you're in one that feels a bit stuck, or maybe you just want to figure out why certain patterns keep popping up again and again, this deep dive should give you some, eye-opening insights and tools you can actually use. So, settle in. We're about to decode what's been running the show in your relationships. The core principle, the confidence relationship mirror. Okay, let's unpack this. There's a fundamental truth here. Your relationships really are mirrors. Mirrors reflecting your relationship with yourself, how you treat yourself, the standards you hold, the value you place on your own worth. It all just gets reflected back at you through how others interact with you. Think about it, right? If you don't deep down believe you deserve respect, you're probably not going to demand it. Or if you're always criticizing yourself internally, you might kind of unconsciously draw people to you who echo that same criticism. It's almost like our internal GPS, when it's running on low confidence, keeps rerouting us to the same old places.
Yeah, and it's not mystical thinking. This is psychology. Your level of self-confidence really impacts three crucial things in relationships. First, who you're attracted to. Low confidence often pulls you towards people who seem to have what you feel you lack. Maybe someone controlling if you don't feel worthy of making your own calls, or someone who takes charge if you don't trust your judgment. These attractions are often about filling a void, not building something balanced.
Okay, that makes sense.
Filling a void.
Second, who's attracted to you? Sometimes people who have their own issues, maybe controlling tendencies or even manipulative traits, they might be drawn to lower confidence because it feels, safer for them or easier to exert influence perhaps. Neither makes for a healthy dynamic.
Right.
And third, and this is where it gets really, really interesting, how you behave. Low confidence often shows up as, say, people-pleasing, or finding it hard to set boundaries, jealousy, constantly needing reassurance, or sometimes the opposite, defensiveness, emotional walls. We saw this so clearly with a client, Sarah. She was just constantly frustrated. Partners always seemed to take her for granted. She'd bend over backwards, cooking amazing meals, always available, never saying what she needed, and then she just feels so hurt.
Right, and Sarah's breakthrough, her aha moment, came when she realized she was trying to earn love through all that service. Because deep down, she didn't believe she was inherently lovable just for being her.
Wow.
So she was attracting partners who were perfectly comfortable just receiving without giving back much. Because that dynamic perfectly mirrored her own belief about her low value. Once she started cultivating genuine self-worth, things changed. She started attracting partners who actually wanted a mutual, balanced relationship. Because that's what she now expected, what she believed she deserved.
That mirror pattern, it really does show up everywhere, doesn't it? In friendships, maybe always being the one to make plans or never saying no. At work, maybe not speaking up in meetings or taking on everyone else's extra tasks.
Exactly. But the great news is this. Just as low confidence attracts certain dynamics, genuine confidence, that authentic self-worth, it attracts profoundly healthier ones. It really does shift things.
Well,
The anatomy of confidence, how show up in key relationship dynamics. Okay, so building on that mirror idea, let's look closer. How does confidence actually show up in core relationship dynamics? Let's take boundary setting. This is a big one. Confident people, generally, can say no without feeling overwhelmed by guilt. They can express their needs pretty clearly. They maintain their sense of self within the relationship. Boundaries aren't about building walls to keep people out. Think of them more like guidelines for healthy interaction.
Right. And when confidence is lacking, we often swing to extremes, don't we? Either like zero boundaries, saying yes to everything, losing ourselves completely, or the opposite, these rigid walls where real intimacy just can't happen.
Exactly. The sweet spot is that kind but firm boundary. You state your need or limit respectfully, but without tons of justification or apology. It might sound like, I really care about you and I'm not available to talk about this specific topic right now.
Simple, direct.
Or maybe, I'd love to help you out, but I actually have other commitments I need to stick to. See? Kind, firm, clear.
Okay. What about communication patterns? How does confidence change how we talk and listen?
Well, confident communicators tend to be direct, but also respectful. That's key. They can usually express disagreement without making it a personal attack. And crucially, they can often receive feedback without getting immediately defensive. We call this assertive communication. It's that balanced middle ground.
Which is so different from the low confidence extremes, right? Like aggressive communication needing to win at all costs, or passive just avoiding conflict altogether, or passive aggressive with those indirect digs.
Precisely. Assertive communication sounds more like, okay, I feel frustrated when plans change suddenly at the last minute, using I statements, because it makes it hard for me to manage my time. Could we maybe chat about how to handle this differently next time?
Focus on the issue, not attacking the person.
Yeah.
Got it. And emotional regulation. How do feelings fit into this confidence picture?
Confident people still feel all the same emotions, of course. Anger, sadness, fear. But they aren't typically controlled by them. They can feel angry without lashing out or feel sad without spiraling into complete despair. There's more capacity to observe the feeling without becoming it.
Whereas low confidence often leads to extremes again, either suppressing everything, pretending you're fine when you're not, or having these huge disproportionate reactions.
Yes. I remember working with a couple where one partner would completely shut down during disagreements, stonewall, and the other would escalate, start yelling. Both were reacting from a place of low confidence. One feared abandonment if they showed vulnerability, the other feared not being heard or seen.
Wow, okay. And finally, let's touch on jealousy and insecurity. This feels like where confidence issues can become really obvious.
Oh, absolutely. It's often a very clear indicator. Jealousy, in most cases, is almost always more about your relationship with yourself than about the other person's actual behavior. Low confidence jealousy often manifests as needing to check phones, feeling threatened by your partner's friendships, needing constant reassurance.
Which must be exhausting for everyone involved.
It is, and sadly, these behaviors often push people away. They can actually create the very abandonment the person is so desperately trying to prevent. It's a difficult cycle. 3. Toxic patterns. How low confidence creates predictable problems.
So if confidence is the engine and sometimes it sputters, what happens then? Let's get specific about some of those predictable, often quite painful relationship patterns that tend to pop up when our self-worth is running low.
Yeah, there are several common ones we see again and again. Perhaps the most pervasive is the people-pleasing pattern. This is the underlying belief that you have to constantly earn love and acceptance through nonstop giving and accommodation. You say yes when you desperately mean no. You consistently prioritize everyone else's needs over your own. You feel guilty just for having needs.
And the irony is just tragic, isn't it? It so often leads to feeling taken for granted or deep resentment building up because people do start expecting that level of accommodation from you and you just get completely drained. I remember Maria, that client you mentioned, she was the go-to person for absolutely everyone in her life. On the surface, she felt loved, needed, but underneath, utterly exhausted.
Right, and her insight was realizing she was terrified people would leave her if she stopped being useful. When she finally started, tentatively, setting some boundaries, the people who genuinely cared, they respected them. Maybe a little surprised at first, but respectful. The others, well, it revealed they were primarily using her availability and kindness.
Wow, that's powerful. What's another common one?
Another really common one is the anxious attachment pattern. This often looks like constantly seeking reassurance, reading into neutral behaviors, interpreting them as rejection, feeling like you need your partner way more than they need you. It's incredibly taxing, honestly, for both people in the relationship.
And what about something maybe more subtle?
Well, there's the invisible pattern. This one can be easy to miss. It's about making yourself almost invisible, not expressing your opinions, constantly adapting to what others want, minimizing your own needs and desires.
You might think you're just being easygoing or accommodating.
Exactly. But what you're actually doing is depriving the relationship of your authentic self, your unique perspective, your real feelings. And if you're not bringing your real self, can you really have a deep, genuine connection? Probably not.
That makes a lot of sense.
And beyond those, you might see others, like the perfectionism pattern, trying desperately to earn love by being flawless, successful, always on. Or the savior-victim dynamic, needing to rescue others to feel valuable, or needing to be rescued because you don't trust yourself. Or maybe the comparison trap, constantly measuring your relationship or yourself against others, against exes, against friends. It's confidence poison.
So many patterns.
Understanding them, just recognizing them when they show up, that's truly the first step towards change. Once you can name it, there's that people-pleasing thing again, you gain a little distance. You can start choosing differently, making choices based on confidence, hopefully, rather than fear. The ripple effect, how confidence transforms your relationships.
Okay, now for the good stuff. Let's talk about the flip side. How does building genuine confidence create these positive ripples? How does it transform all our relationships? Because it really does, right? Often in ways we don't even expect.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite remarkable to witness. The first big shift is often an attraction shift. You naturally start finding different types of people appealing. You become drawn to authenticity, to mutual respect, to genuine connection, rather than perhaps drama or neediness.
Like your client David, right? Who spent years with emotionally unavailable partners.
Exactly. As he built his own confidence, those unavailable types just lost their appeal. They stopped being attractive to him. He found himself drawn to someone who was consistent, available, genuinely interested in building something mutual, because he had changed internally.
Sure, the mirror changed.
Precisely. Then comes what you might call the boundary revolution. Setting boundaries starts to feel less terrifying, more natural. You stop feeling so guilty for having needs, preferences, limits. And paradoxically, this clarity actually allows others to know where they stand with you. It builds trust, not distance.
And that naturally leads to communication transformation, I imagine.
Yes. Confident communication fosters safety. It allows for authenticity, which leads to much deeper understanding. You also get better at receiving feedback without immediately putting up walls. You can see it as information for growth, not just a personal attack.
That's huge.
The jealousy dissolution is another powerful outcome. When you genuinely know your own worth, other people's choices, their friendships, their successes, they feel less like a threat to you. You can actually celebrate your partner's connections and achievements without feeling diminished or insecure yourself.
And my personal favorite, you mentioned the conflict revolution. This sounds amazing.
It is. You start engaging in conflict constructively. You understand that working through disagreements, respectfully, can actually strengthen relationships, not destroy them. The focus shifts from needing to be right to finding solutions together. Disagreements become opportunities for deeper connection and understanding, rather than just threats. It changes everything. V. Building relationship confidence. Practical strategies. Okay, so this is where the rubber meets the road, the practical work. How do we actually build this confidence from the inside out? We've got a few key strategies. First off, try a relationship inventory. Just take stock. List your closest relationships, could be romantic, family, friends, even key colleagues. And for each one, ask yourself honestly, how do I typically show up here? What's the balance of giving and receiving? Am I truly being authentic? What patterns keep repeating? Just observe. No judgment needed, just awareness. I notice I always seem to be the caretaker in this dynamic. That awareness is key. Okay, what's next? Then, maybe try creating some values-based relationship standards. What really matters to you? Write down, say, your top 3 to 5 core values. Maybe it's honesty, growth, kindness, respect, fun, whatever resonates. Then define what each of those actually looks like in a relationship dynamic. This becomes your internal compass guiding your choices.
Like a personal relationship constitution. I like that.
Exactly. Next up, the boundary practice. And start small, really small. Pick one tiny area where you consistently say yes when you really feel no. Maybe it's a small request, an extra task, and practice saying no, kindly but firmly. Remember that boundary sandwich we talked about. Acknowledge the request, thanks for thinking of me. State your boundary clearly, I'm not available for that right now, and maybe offer an alternative if it feels right. Perhaps Sarah might be interested.
Start small, build the muscle.
Okay.
And communication.
Yes, communication confidence building. Practice assertive communication in low-stakes situations first. Use those I statements we discussed. I feel X when Y happens, instead of you always or you never. Focus on the specific issue, not on attacking the person's character.
Makes sense. What about managing those big emotions?
Develop an emotional regulation toolkit. This is crucial. Before reacting, especially when triggered, practice pausing. Just take a breath. Use breathing techniques. Question the story you're immediately telling yourself about the situation. Ask yourself, what would I need to believe about myself right now to not take this personally?
Ooh, that's a good question. And what about that comparison trap?
Yes, the comparison detox. This might mean consciously unfollowing social media accounts that consistently trigger feelings of inadequacy or comparison. Catch yourself when you start comparing your relationship, your life, whatever, and gently, consciously shift your focus back to your own growth, your own journey, your own blessings.
Easier said than done sometimes, but so important.
Absolutely. And for those inevitable disagreements, work on conflict skills. Focus on specific behaviors, not broad character assassinations. When you left your socks on the floor, not, "You're such a slob." Listen, actively try to understand their perspective, not just reload for your rebuttal. Look for win-win solutions, and know when to take a break if things get too heated. Agree to revisit it later when you're both calmer.
That's really practical. Any final daily practice?
Yes, consider the daily relationship practice. Make it a small habit. Each day, maybe commit to just one tiny action. Express one authentic preference, even about what movie to watch. Ask for one small thing you need, set one minor boundary, give one genuine compliment, or have one conversation that feels a little more real than usual. These small, consistent actions build momentum and rewire your brain over time.
I love that. Small steps, big impact.
And finally, always remember, if these patterns feel really deep, really stuck, maybe rooted in past experiences or trauma, seeking professional help is a sign of incredible strength and self-awareness. A good therapist specializing in relationships can provide invaluable support. It's an act of confidence to ask for help. Confidence in different types of relationships.
Right, and it's so important to remember this confidence shift isn't just about romance, is it? It really ripples out into all areas of life.
Absolutely. Take family relationships. These are often where our deepest, oldest patterns live. Setting boundaries here can be particularly challenging, but also incredibly rewarding. It might mean deciding which topics are off limits for discussion. It might mean refusing to take on responsibilities that aren't actually yours. Or simply expressing your authentic opinion kindly, even if it differs from the family norm. Remember, you don't automatically owe anyone constant access to your time or emotional energy just because you share DNA.
That's a big one for many people. What about friendships?
In friendships, if you notice you're always the one initiating plans, always the one making the effort, maybe experiment with pulling back just a little. See which friendships have a natural reciprocity, which ones are truly mutual. It can be revealing.
And at work?
At work, it's about speaking up in meetings when you have something valuable to add. Clearly and confidently stating your accomplishments during reviews, not downplaying them. Setting boundaries around work hours, protecting your personal time. Remember, your job is fundamentally an exchange of value, your skills and time for compensation. It should feel reasonably balanced.
Okay. And even in those really tough, difficult relationships, the ones maybe we can't easily walk away from.
Even there, confidence makes a difference. It means consciously limiting your time and, crucially, your emotional investment. Practice not taking their behavior personally. It's usually about them, not you. You might use what some call the gray rock method. Yeah, it means making yourself emotionally unreactive, like a boring gray rock. You remain polite, civil, but you don't give them the emotional reaction they might be seeking. You keep interactions brief and surface level. You can't change other people, fundamentally, but you absolutely can control how much power you give their behavior over your own peace of mind. Strong boundaries are key here. 7. The confidence-love connection. A nuanced truth. Okay, let's tackle a big myth head-on here. The idea that you need to perfectly love yourself, achieve some kind of ultimate self-acceptance nirvana before you can possibly have a healthy, loving relationship.
Right. That feels like a lot of pressure and maybe keeps people stuck feeling they're not ready.
Exactly. It's much more nuanced than that. You don't need perfect self-confidence, honestly. Who has that? But you do need enough self-worth, enough to genuinely believe deep down that you deserve love and respect, and enough self-awareness to recognize healthy love when it's actually offered to you.
So it's more like a spectrum. And being on the path.
Precisely. Self-love, self-worth, it's a spectrum. The key isn't perfection, it's being on a growth trajectory. Are you actively working on treating yourself with more kindness? Are you learning to set boundaries? Are you challenging negative self-talk? If you're doing that work, even imperfectly, you're absolutely ready for healthy connections.
And sometimes, maybe healthy relationships can even help us learn to love ourselves better.
Absolutely. That's a really important point. When someone consistently treats us with kindness, respect, and appreciation, it can be incredibly healing. It shows us, mirrors back to us, what we truly deserve. And this is a crucial, but this generally only works with emotionally healthy, respectful people.
Ah, right.
Unhealthy relationships, unfortunately, often teach you the opposite. They teach you to accept less, to tolerate disrespect, to doubt your own worth.
So the source matters.
Immensely. The fundamental worthiness truth is this. You don't have to earn your worthiness through actions or achievements. You already are inherently worthy, just by being human. The real work isn't earning it. It's learning to recognize, accept, and internalize that inherent worth.
Which then helps us distinguish between, say, needy love and confident love.
Exactly. Needy love essentially says, I need you to constantly validate me to make me feel okay about myself. It puts a huge burden on the other person. Confident love, on the other hand, says something more like, I enjoy my life, and I really enjoy sharing it with you. I want to contribute to your happiness, and I trust you want the same for me.
One sounds draining, the other energizing.
Totally. Confident love allows for interdependence. That's different from codependence. Interdependence is where two whole, independent people choose to rely on each other, support each other, share life together. Confidence means being capable of taking care of yourself and also being comfortable receiving care and support from others. It's not needing to be fiercely independent all the time.
Okay. And maybe this confidence allows you to see love more as a choice, not a desperate need.
Yes, that removes so much pressure. That desperate energy, I need this relationship to feel whole, ironically, often pushes people away. Confidence brings a sense of calm, of choice, of abundance.
And it allows for authenticity, right? You don't have to perform.
The biggest gift, perhaps? Confidence allows you to show up as your real self, flaws, quirks, vulnerabilities, and all. You don't need to maintain a perfect facade. And authentic love, being truly seen and loved for who you really are, that's only possible when you have enough confidence to actually let your real self be seen. 8. Red flags versus growth opportunities. The critical distinction.
Okay, this feels really crucial. One of the most important skills confidence gives you, maybe, is the ability to tell the difference. The difference between genuine red flag signs that a relationship is fundamentally unhealthy and normal relationship challenges, the bumps in the road that are actually opportunities for growth, knowing when to invest versus when to, maybe, rock away.
Absolutely critical distinction. Let's define red flags. These aren't just isolated incidents. They're consistent patterns of behavior that strongly indicate someone isn't capable of a healthy relationship, at least not at this time. We're talking about things like consistent disrespect for your boundaries, no matter how clearly you state them. Attempts to control your time, your friendships, your choices. Any form of abuse, obviously verbal, emotional, physical, financial manipulation, sexual coercion. A pattern of refusing to take responsibility for their actions, constant blaming, chronic lying, unaddressed addiction issues, extreme, possessive jealousy, that cycle of love bombing followed by sudden devaluation or withdrawal, threats of any kind.
Those sound pretty serious.
They are. And the key thing to understand about these red flags is that they typically don't get better just with time or more love from you. They usually require significant professional intervention and a deep, genuine commitment to change from the person exhibiting them. You can't fix these for someone else.
Okay, so what are growth opportunities then? The normal stuff.
Growth opportunities are those areas where both people can learn and develop together. These are the normal challenges of merging two lives. Things like having different communication styles that need bridging, different approaches to conflict resolution, different love languages perhaps, coming from different family backgrounds with different norms, having different life goals that need discussion and alignment, occasional moodiness or mistakes as long as they're acknowledged and learned from. Areas where both partners recognize they need to develop better skills, like active listening or expressing needs more clearly.
So the key difference really is that willingness. A willingness to acknowledge, learn, and grow.
Exactly. That's the litmus test. Healthy people, even when they mess up, are generally willing to acknowledge their part, learn from it, and try to do better. They take responsibility. Unhealthy patterns often involve a refusal to see their part, constant blame shifting, and a resistance to genuine change or growth.
And confidence helps you trust your perception of those patterns.
Yes. Confident people learn to pay more attention to consistent actions over occasional words or promises. Talk is cheap, as they say. And remember the timeline truth. Real, sustainable behavior change takes time. We're talking months, often years, of consistent effort, not just a few good days or weeks after a big fight. Look for sustained change.
Right, don't get fooled by temporary shifts.
And always, always trust your gut instinct, even if you can't quite put your finger on why. If something consistently feels off or unsafe or just wrong deep down, pay attention to that feeling. Your intuition is picking up on subtle cues. Don't dismiss it.
Frank Tex, knowing when to stay and when to go.
Okay, this might be one of the most important, maybe the hardest parts of this whole conversation. Building confidence isn't just about making existing connections better, it's also about gaining the wisdom, and frankly, the courage, to know when a relationship truly can't or won't improve, knowing when it might be time to go. It's incredibly difficult, but yes, absolutely vital. You can work tirelessly on your own confidence, your communication, your boundaries, but you cannot force another person to grow or change if they aren't willing or able. You need to honestly assess if the other person seems stuck in a fixed mindset. Are they always blaming others? Do they consistently avoid difficult but necessary conversations? Do the same hurtful patterns repeat over and over, despite promises? Do they refuse help or introspection?
Because a relationship takes two, right?
It fundamentally does. Healthy relationships require effort, commitment, and growth from both people. If you find you're consistently the only one initiating repairs, the only one compromising, the only one working on relationship skills, then it's not really a partnership. It's become a one-sided project.
That's a tough realization.
It is. And it's crucial here to distinguish between abuse and dysfunction. Abuse patterns of control, harm, intimidation requires prioritizing your safety above all else, often involving creating a safety plan to leave. Dysfunction, things like poor communication skills, emotional immaturity, mismatched expectations can potentially be worked on, but only if both people are truly willing and committed to the process. Never confuse the two or excuse abuse as mere dysfunction.
And we have to be careful about the sunk cost fallacy, right? Staying just because we've already put in so much time.
Oh, that's a huge trap. But we've been together for 10 years. Or, but we just bought a house. Your past investment of time, energy, or money does not obligate you to continue investing in something that's consistently unhealthy or damaging to you now. Your future well-being matters more than justifying past choices.
What about staying for the children? That's a common one.
A very common and complex dilemma. But often, staying in a deeply unhealthy, high-conflict, or emotionally damaging relationship for the children actually does more harm in the long run. Children learn about love, respect, conflict resolution, and self-worth primarily by watching their parents. Modeling unhealthy dynamics teaches them that those dynamics are normal or acceptable. Sometimes the healthier choice for everyone, including the children, is to model self-respect by leaving an untenable situation.
So what are some concrete signs it might genuinely be time to consider leaving?
Well, some indicators might include having the exact same painful conversation about the same core problem over and over and over with absolutely no lasting change. Feeling like you're constantly walking on eggshells, afraid to be yourself or express your needs, realizing you've lost your sense of self, your joy, your spark, trying desperately to make the relationship work. Staying primarily out of fear of being alone, fear of financial instability, fear of judgment, rather than staying out of genuine love and connection. Noticing that relationship consistently damages your mental health, your physical health, or your fundamental self-esteem. Any ongoing form of abuse or threats, of course. Discovering fundamentally incompatible core values that make a shared future impossible. Or realizing one person has simply emotionally checked out and is no longer invested.
That's a heavy list, but important to face.
It is. Sometimes the bravest, most confident, most self-loving thing you can possibly do is acknowledge that you've done all you can and walk away.
It's not about giving up at the first sign of trouble.
No, not at all. Healthy relationships require navigating challenges. This is about having enough self-respect to recognize when a situation is persistently harmful or stagnant, despite your best efforts. Leaving unhealthy situations makes space for health and healing.
And if you do decide to leave?
If you make that difficult decision, aim to do so with dignity and clarity. Be direct, be kind if possible, but be firm. Don't leave ambiguous room for false hope if your decision is made. Take responsibility for your part in the dynamic without over-blaming yourself. Focus on your needs moving forward. And absolutely lean on your support system. Friends, family, maybe a therapist. You don't have to go through it alone.
And the feelings afterwards. The sadness, maybe guilt, fear.
Those feelings are normal. They're human. They signify loss. They don't necessarily mean you made the wrong choice. Allow yourself time and space to grieve the relationship, even if leaving was the right thing. Focus intensely on self-care.
Choosing to leave an unhealthy relationship when necessary is truly an act of profound self-respect. an act of confidence. Outro.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the confidence relationship code, the main thing to hold on to is this: that your relationship with yourself really is the foundational template. It sets the tone for every other connection in your life.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, this isn't about achieving some impossible state of perfection. You don't need perfect self-confidence to have wonderful, loving relationships. But you do need enough self-worth to genuinely believe you deserve love, respect, kindness, enough to recognize those things when they're authentically offered, and crucially, enough strength to walk away when they consistently aren't.
Exactly. And those patterns we talked about, the people-pleasing, the anxious attachment, the comparison trap, all of them, please know, these aren't character flaws. They're almost always learned responses, survival strategies maybe from past experiences. And the beautiful thing about learned responses, they can be unlearned. They can be replaced with healthier, more conscious patterns. Building this kind of relationship confidence, it's a practice, it's a journey, not a destination you arrive at one day.
So maybe a little assignment for you listening this week, if you're up for it. Just pick one small, specific action from everything we discussed today. Just one. And commit to practicing it. Maybe it's practicing one tiny boundary, or expressing one authentic preference you'd usually swallow, or maybe just having one slightly more real, more honest conversation you've been avoiding. What do you think?
I think that's perfect. Small, consistent changes create incredible ripple effects over time. It's true. When you start treating yourself with more respect, it subtly cues others to do the same. When you communicate more authentically, you naturally start attracting people who value that authenticity.
Yeah.
When you set healthy boundaries, you build relationships with people who are capable of respecting them. It shifts the whole dynamic.
And here's something really quite beautiful to think about. When you build this confidence in your relationships, you're not just improving your own life, are you? You're actually modeling healthy relationship behavior for everyone around you. Your kids, if you have them, your friends, your colleagues. You might literally be the first person in your family line to consistently set healthy boundaries or communicate assertively. Think about that legacy.
That's a powerful thought, and maybe a final idea to leave you with, something to mull over. The relationships in your life, they aren't just passively happening to you. They're being actively co-created by you every single day through how you show up, which means you have so much more power and influence over their quality than you might realize. You can't control other people? No. But you absolutely can control how you show up, what standards you hold, what you accept, and what you contribute.
So approaching relationships from that place of confidence, not desperation. From abundance, not scarcity. From self-respect, not self-doubt. That changes everything. You really do deserve relationships that energize you, that celebrate your true, authentic self. Relationships that actually grow stronger through challenges, not despite them.
And the confidence to create those kinds of relationships,
Yeah.
it truly is already within you. It might be buried, it might need dusting off, developing, practicing, but it's there. Start today. So really small if you need to. But the most important thing, just start.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep exploration. And please remember, you are worthy of love, respect, and authentic connection exactly as you are right now. Your job isn't to earn those things. It's to learn to recognize them when they're genuinely offered and have the confidence, the self-respect to walk away when they're not.